All right, welcome to today's class on Dotloop 101. Again, this will be the more basic Dotloop class, and we'll be going over today how to get into your Dotloop account, what Dotloop is, how to create a loop in your Dotloop account, how to create a form and type on that form and share that to your clients to be electronically signed. So we'll be going over all of that and more. All right, so you can follow along with me. The first thing that you'll want to do to go to your Dotloop account is go to mykw.kw.com. So again, that was mykw.kw.com, as you'll see right up here on the top of my browser. And as we're getting started, just a heads up, Dotloop works best in Google Chrome or Firefox. So if you have one of those browsers on your computer, it definitely plays best with Dotloop. And again, Google Chrome or Firefox works great with Dotloop. So we're going to go to mykw.kw.com and let's go ahead and log into our account. All right, so your myKW username should be something like your first and last name or your first initial, last name, and some numbers there. Your username is not case sensitive, however the password is, just a heads up. So that password you're entering in is case sensitive, and we'll want to go ahead and click login. Now if you have no idea what this myKW username and password is, totally understand. There's so many passwords for everything. Feel free to email support@scottleroymarketing.com and we can help you get into your myKW account. Okay, so again, that was support@scottleroymarketing.com. Let me refresh this page here. It looks like it's sticking a little bit. 1 second here. All right, hang tight 1 second, guys. All right, let's try this one more time. All right, there we go. So it should take you directly in when you log into mykw.com. This should be the screen that you're looking at right away. Thanks for bearing with me. Okay, this is your myKW home screen. And the best way to get into your Dotloop account is actually on this top center e-edge control panel box right here. All right, so you'll notice it says myTransactions on this e-edge control panel box. You'll hear and see Dotloop referred to both as Dotloop and myTransactions. Same thing. But what you'll want to do is click on that blue link right under it that says Start myTransactions. All right, so again, let's go ahead and click this blue link right under there, right under myTransactions that says Start myTransactions to get into your Dotloop account right away. Now, by accessing your Dotloop account that way, it should take you right into your Dotloop account without further username and password, which is good. One less password to remember, right? And when you log in here, you should be looking at a red and black screen like I am here. Okay, it might be slightly different colored. What we do not want your Dotloop account to be a light blue. Okay, if you're looking at a Dotloop account that is light blue, so if it's a light blue banner up here, that means it is not connected to your Market Center and you do not have access to all of your Market Center forms. If that is the case, if your Dotloop account is a light blue, go ahead and email support@scottleroymarketing.com, and let me go ahead and send that over to you guys. So that's support@scottleroymarketing.com. Let them know that your Dotloop account is the light blue there, and they'll fix that up for you right away so you can participate in class. All right. So let's talk a little bit while you're getting in here. Of course, you can go to Dotloop.com directly to access your Dotloop account, but let's talk about what Dotloop is. So Dotloop is going to be like your online filing cabinet. So you're going to have a loop per property that you sell. So for example, if you are representing a client and you are selling their home and then helping them buy the next home, that's going to be two separate loops because it's two separate transactions, okay? Two separate properties. So that's how Dotloop works, is a loop per property. And again, you'll hear me say the word loop a lot, and what I mean by a loop is an online file. Okay, so you'll see I have some loops already created in here, and these are files for each property that I've sold. Okay. So to get started, let's start with some navigation around your Dotloop account. Okay, so first of all, on this top black toolbar here, you'll see 5-6 icons going across that black toolbar. Let me just tell you a little bit about what each one does. So you'll notice if I hover my mouse over the first one, it pops up telling me it's the dashboard. Okay, that'll give you an overview of all of your loops. Okay, your year-to-date sales, all right, just your stats for all of your loops. Moving on over to the right side, you'll see this icon that looks like a smiley face with no eyes. Okay, that's your loops icon. That will always take you back to the Dotloop homepage, which is where I am right now. Okay, so if you're ever lost in Dotloop or just need to get back home, this is your best friend here. This icon, the loops icon. Moving to the right, we see this tasks option here, that tasks icon. All right, so in each one of your loops, you have the option to create a to-do list for yourself, so you know what you need to do for that property. Okay, this tasks option on the top right here will give you kind of an overview of all of the tasks that you have due for all of your loops together. So it's an overview of all of your to-do lists, basically. Moving to the right, we have this people section here. Okay, that'll show you all the people that you've interacted with in Dotloop. Okay, any clients you've added to your loops will all be stored in this people section right here. All right, moving to the right, again, you'll see this templates icon. This one is a big one that we'll be starting with in just a moment here. All right, the templates icon looks like 2 sheets of paper. We'll have all of your blank forms that you need when going through a transaction. So every single form that you need, whether you want to print it out or just access those forms, can be viewed in this template section here. And again, we'll be going into that in just a moment here. But if you could go ahead and hover over either your initials or your headshot, that last icon on the far right on this black toolbar. Let's talk about this section first. So first of all, I would like you to note your member ID right here. So if you were to call Dotloop support, and their phone number is on the bottom of every page in Dotloop, if you call Dotloop support, it'll prompt you for a member ID, and if you put in this member ID right here, it'll move you to the very front of the support line. Okay, since you're a KW agent, you are a Dotloop premium member, that means you get faster support, which is awesome. Okay, so take note of what this member ID is, or at least how to access that, so you can come back and grab that so you can get fastest support. Yeah, other things on here, if you are an agent in multiple market centers or if you are transferring from one Keller Williams office to the next, you might have more than one Dotloop profile here, as you see on my screen. Okay, so you can always click on the other profiles to view your loops in your previous market centers right away. If you only see one profile, that's completely normal as well. So let's go ahead and click on this My Account option in red on this screen. Okay, so again, I am hovering over, it's either your initials on the top right or your headshot if you've added that in. And let's go ahead and click My Account from that dropdown. All right, and through class, I'll try to make sure to mention the really important things that you'll want to write down and take notes of. All right, so on this My Account section here, first of all, we want to add our headshot in. Okay, so this should give you the option right here to browse your computer, that red button. All right, if you don't have that in already, it is really important to have your headshot in your Dotloop account because your clients are going to be signing legal documents, and they'll feel a lot better seeing your face, a familiar face, when signing legal documents, letting them know, this is legitimate. All right, so if you don't have your headshot quite yet, you can note where we went in to change that. Also, just a heads up, there are about 6 different places that we can add your headshot for you. So if you'd like to email your headshot over to support@scottleroymarketing.com, we can add your headshot throughout your entire KW technology, including your Dotloop account, just to make your life a little easier. All right, so if you're still adding your headshot, feel free, keep going on that. But I'm going to start on this right column here, and we're going to go down this list just to make sure this is all accurate and fill this in as much as possible. So first of all, let's make sure that your first and last name is correct. Obviously kind of important. All right, your Dotloop email address. This is an important one to note. You'll want to write down what your Dotloop email address is. If you are having an agent in your office, okay, or another KW agent share something to you in Dotloop, they need to share it to this email address specifically. Very important. They can't just pick any of your email addresses. It has to be your Dotloop email address to share that form to, so it'll come into your account. All right, let's go ahead and fill in our fax number and phone number if it's not there already. All right, and we'll want to make sure that our e-sign name and e-sign initials are correct as well. So for example, this is how you will sign all documents. When the listing agent or buyer agent is required to sign a document, this is how your signature will populate. Okay, so if you sign with your middle name or do not want your middle name, or perhaps you want your legal name there, okay, this is where you would adjust that. All right, coming down to company name here. All right, so we'll want to make sure that has, of course, Keller Williams Realty. If you want to add your brokerage name, you definitely can. How I have the Dash Ballantyne area, that is my brokerage name. So you can add that in, okay, as this will auto-populate onto your forms. All right, and we also have the job title here. If you go by broker/realtor or possibly salesperson, I know it's a little different depending on the state or region that you're in. Okay, so go ahead and put your job title in. And while you're wrapping up this section, I just want to explain the importance of what we're doing right now. I know it's a little tedious work, but all of this information in this My Account section will auto-populate onto every single form that you bring into your Dotloop account forevermore once we do this here. So entering in your contact information and making sure it's correct here will save you a bunch of time in the future because you won't have to type that into future forms. All right, so this is really worth your time. And once we're done with this top section here, let's go ahead and scroll on down to this address on the bottom. We will want to make sure that our address is displaying here, and this will want to be your office address, so you do not want your personal address here. Go ahead and put in your office address. If you have no idea what your office address is, go ahead and Google it. Okay, Google typically knows all. So go ahead and Google that office address. It's a good thing for you to know anyway. And let's go ahead and enter that in here. All right, and once you're done with that, please make sure to click Save on the bottom right. Okay, that big red button. There's nothing worse than doing a bunch of work and not clicking Save. I know we've all done it. But make sure you go ahead and click Save on the bottom right, and you'll notice this yellow bar pops up that lets you know that the contact information updated successfully. Okay, so look for that yellow bar. Makes me feel better to know that my work was saved. So again, before I go on, just one more time, make sure to click that big red Save button on the very bottom right of your screen. And then let's scroll up to the very top of your screen and go ahead and click Profiles on the left side in red. Okay, so I'm selecting Profiles on the left-hand side in red. Again, if you are an agent in multiple market centers, you may have more than one profile, so make sure you're on the correct one that you're wanting to edit. All right, let's go ahead and make sure we have our phone number and our fax number entered in here if it's not already. All right, moving on down to the profile details right under that phone number here. Let's go ahead and especially make sure we have your agent license number entered in. Okay, so that's not the one on the bottom right of this section. Okay, the broker license number would be for your broker in charge. So you'll want to put your license number and the one that says agent license number. Okay, especially if you're new, I know that's typically a long string of numbers. That's kind of hard to remember at the beginning. So if you entered in one time here, it will auto-populate that license number onto all forms that require that information. One less thing to remember. All right, if you're still searching for that license number, no worries. Feel free to keep going on that. I just want to point out one last section on the bottom here that we will need to put in our address one more time for your market center. All right, so one last time, go ahead and put in your office address under the company information here. You can also put in the company name. Is Keller Williams Realty or Keller Williams Realty dash your brokerage name? And then go ahead and put in your address here. If you didn't know your office address before, you do now, right? Alrighty, so assuming that you have finished this section, if you have not, no worries, go ahead and keep typing. I just want to go ahead and explain the notification settings right under here. All right, these notification settings will show you when you're getting emailed, okay, for notifications in Dotloop. So things like once a document has been signed by your client, okay, if your signature was required. All right, if your office admin updated a status of compliance on your loop. Okay, typically I would recommend just leaving all of these checked out the gate. If you start to feel like you're getting way too many emails from Dotloop, which I don't typically hear, but if you feel that, you can always update the notification settings right here in this My Account section. All right, so for now, leave them all checked and go ahead and click Save on the bottom right of your screen here. Okay, we're almost done with our housekeeping here. So we have profile details changed successfully. Like to see that yellow bar letting me know it did save. So one more time, just make sure you're clicking Save on the bottom right. Now let's scroll back up to the top of your screen. Okay, and just for anyone who joined the class late, or maybe you have no idea where I am, again, we got here by hovering over either your initials or headshot on the top right and clicking on My Account here. Just a heads up if you want to make a note of how you got here. We're just going to do one last thing in this My Account section, and then we'll get going on the fun stuff. Let's go ahead and click Document Preferences on the left-hand side in red. Okay, so I'm on the top of my screen in the My Account section, and I clicked on Document Preferences on the left-hand side in red. I just want to point out that this is where your font settings default from. Okay, so this will give you not very many different kind of fonts, but a couple different fonts that you can play with. Okay, and I'll change the random sentence under it to show you the example. All right, you can also change the font style. Right, bold might make it a little easier to see. Okay, font color, if you want to change that from black to blue and so forth, okay, to make the verbiage that you're typing on the forms a little more noticeable. And of course, you can change the font size on the far right here if you want to make that font bigger or smaller that you're typing in to make it easier to see. Okay, so this is where it pulls your default font from. All right, guys, so now that we tackled that My Account section right here, let's get into forms in Dotloop. Okay, so if you remember how I said earlier, we're going to dive in this templates section on the top right black toolbar. Okay, so let's go ahead and click on that icon that looks like 2 sheets of paper to get into your blank forms right away. Okay, so once we click on that top black toolbar, okay, we're clicking on the icon that looks like 2 sheets of paper. And you'll notice, guys, if you forget which one is the templates icon, if I hover my mouse over it and I don't click that icon, it'll pop up telling me that it's the templates icon. Now, just a heads up, your templates will most likely look different than mine, okay? This is specific to your market center. Your market center staff kindly puts all of the blank forms that you need for your transaction right into your Dotloop account for you, so you don't have to worry about a thing. Okay, so I'm in a different market center, so I will have different looking form sets in here. So what you'll want to do, what I'm going to show you right now is, all right, let's say that your client does not like electronic signatures, or let's say that you don't like technology. Okay, that's totally understandable. I'm going to show you how you can utilize your Dotloop account to simply print out blank forms and bring it with you on your appointment so you can explain the form to your client and have them hand signed right in front of you. Okay, if that's what you're most comfortable with, that's totally fine. So let's take a look at how we would print out blank forms from Dotloop. So of course, as I mentioned, we started this whole process in this templates icon on the top right black toolbar. And let's scroll down on our screen where you'll notice a bunch of red form sets on the left-hand side. Okay, so these are form folders. Again, yours will look different than mine, and that's fine, okay, because your office sets this up for you. All right, so feel free to click around on any of these form folders on the left-hand side in red. I'm going to show you how to pull a listing agreement if you want to follow along with that. So you'll select any of the form folders that you would like on the left-hand side in red. You'll notice it underlines it to show you that it's been selected and turns it black here. All right, step 2, you'll notice this red search bar on the top of your screen. Okay, I'm going to click to the right of this magnifying glass and search for whatever form I'm looking for. Okay, so I'm going to search the word listing, and it will pull up all the forms that have the word listing in that form name. All right, so I found the form I'm looking for here. So in order to print this out, all I need to do is come up to these 3 drop-down dots on the far right. Okay, anytime you see these 3 drop-down dots in Dotloop, that means more options. So I'm going to click on those 3 drop-down dots in line with the form I would like and click to download it. Okay. That'll pull it outside of the Dotloop system so I can then open it up and print it straight from there. Okay, so I can open that right up, and I'm in Google Chrome, so it might look a little different than your screen, but I can click the print option right from here. Okay, so let's go over those 4 steps one more time just to make sure you got it. This is how you would print out blank forms from Dotloop. Okay, so step 1, I'm going to click on the form folder that I would like on the left-hand side in red. Step 2, I'm going to search for the form name that I'm looking for on this top search bar here. Right, step 3, I'm going to click on these 3 drop-down dots in line with the form name and click to download it. Right, and then the 4th step would just be simply printing it out. All right, so that is how we would go about printing blank forms all from this template section right here. So, but of course, the main point of Dotloop is to be able to type in your forms, email it to your client so they can electronically sign it. Okay, it makes your life a lot easier and your client's life a lot easier too, if they're on board with that. So let's take a look at how we would do that. So to get back to your Dotloop homepage, let's go ahead and click on the loops icon on the top right of your screen, okay, on that black toolbar. We're clicking on the smiley face with no eyes icon. And that'll take you back to your Dotloop homepage here. All right, from this Dotloop homepage, let's go ahead and click this big plus sign on your screen to get started on a loop. Okay, and if I lose anyone, of course, I can't see your screen, so feel free to let me know if I lose you or if you have any questions, and I can catch you up so you can keep up with class. That's no problem at all. All right, so I'm going to click this big plus sign on my screen in order to start a new loop. All right, so typically you would want to name your loop the property address. Okay, now I realize that if you're representing the buyer, you won't know the property address right out the gate. That's no problem. I'll show you how to change the loop name in just a little bit here. But for today's practice, let's go ahead and type in a loop name like 123 Practice Loop, 123 Main Street. You can use your home address if you would like, okay, whatever you'd like. Let's go ahead and give it a property address. All right, once we name that loop, okay, let's go ahead and click the Create Loop option. All right, again, if you missed what I did, I just clicked this big plus sign that you can see kind of the grayed out screen on my screen here. All right, and I'm going to name my loop and click Create Loop. And that will take you into your loop. So you've now successfully created a loop. Now, when you get into your loop, there are 3 main sections of your Dotloop account. All right, the first main section is this document section on the top of your screen. And this is where you'll be spending most of your time and doing most of your hard work. All right, this document section is where you'll be pulling in blank forms to be able to type up, send to your clients, and have them electronically sign it. Okay, so this is, of course, where all your documents will sit. Scrolling on down to this people section here. So you will be adding all of your people to this section. So anyone involved in the transaction will be viewed right here. You'll be able to see their email address, okay, maybe your clients' names, mortgage providers, and so forth. So this will be all the people involved in this transaction. And lastly, this add task option on the bottom here. So I mentioned earlier that you can create to-do lists with in the system here. All right, so for example, if you wanted to create a to-do list for your listing that had things like get it professionally measured, put the sign in the yard, make the listing live in the MLS, okay, all the items that you need to do prior to listing that home, it's great to create a to-do list for all of those things. If you're anything like me, I love checking off to-do lists, okay? So you can do that right from your loop. And now if you'll scroll back to the top of your screen, a big question that we get is, great, I created a loop, now what do I do? Okay, so the first thing that you'll want to do upon creating a loop is actually go to the top of your loop and click on View Details right under the loop name, which is the property address in this case. So let's go ahead and click View Details. All right, so if you're following along with me, this is a pivotal moment where I'll lose you for a little if you don't get this part. So make sure you're at the top of your loop, and let's go ahead and click View Details right under the loop name. All right, so what this section does is it auto-populates all of this information. It auto-populates all of the information right from here onto every form that you bring into your loop. Okay, so huge time saver to start here. All right, so the first thing that we're going to do is start from the top here, and let's select a transaction type. All right, so right under this transaction type, let's go ahead and click Select Transaction Type and select Listing for Sale. All right, once you select a transaction type here, it'll then give you the option to select a loop status. Okay, so in this loop status, let's go ahead and select that it's an active listing. All right, and I did mention that on the far right here, that it is very easy to change the loop name. So if you ever want to add the client's name right from here, or if you don't know the property address right out the gate, you can always change it right here. Okay, so super easy to go ahead and change the loop name. Now the first thing that we're going to do in this section here is in this people section, let's go ahead and add a client. So as you might have guessed, let's go ahead and click Add Person on the far right to add our client's name. So if you want to go ahead and put in John Smith or your spouse's name or kid's name, okay, just to practice with. All right, so go ahead and put in the name of your client there. You'll need a first and last name. Okay, the three main things that you'll need when adding a person in is their first and last name, email address, and role. So if you want to go ahead and add an email address, if you want to go ahead and use a personal email address that you have, just so you can see what it looks like when your clients receive a form, it would be a great thing to do. Okay, again, so if you want to use a personal email address, so not the email address that's associated with your Dotloop account, but a separate one, feel free. It's a good thing to do. All right, and we'll need to select a role as well. So on the far right here where it says role, let's go ahead and click where it says role in red. And in this case, let's go ahead and change the role to seller. Okay, we're going to be practicing with a listing in today's class. Okay, let's talk about some other important things to know when you're adding people to your loop here. So first of all, this add to my team feature, okay, this little checkbox. Please make a note, okay, this is a noteworthy thing. All right, we never ever want to click add to my team if you are adding your client to the loop. Okay, clicking this add to my team checkbox will make it so that your client can see every single thing in your loop that you can see. And we of course don't want that, right? The general concept of Dotloop is everything is private in your loop until shared. Okay, so you only want your client to see what you choose to share with them. Okay, so again, one more time, just make sure to note we never click this add to my team button checkbox here if you are adding your client to the loop. Okay, but it is actually a really cool tool that you can utilize, and let's talk about when you would click this add to my team button. All right, so if you are collaborating, if you are co-listing a property with another agent in your office, so again, you are on the same side of the transaction. If you were to add that other agent to your loop and click add to my team, it would put this loop also in that agents.loop account so that you guys can work on this loop together. Okay, so you can do everything together and share the responsibilities. Okay, really handy for sure. Another time that you can use it is if you are on a team and you have an admin on the team, you can add your admin to the loop and click add to my team, and it will add this loop to your admins.loop account as well so that your admin can help with your loop. Okay. So I know that was kind of a long spiel. Main takeaway is do not click this when adding your client to the loop. All right, one more thing I just want to point out, if you are adding a husband and wife here, they would have to have separate email addresses for them to electronically sign. Okay, that's how Dotloop identifies them as two different people and, prevents one person signing, both fields. All right, so you will have to have a separate email address for the husband or the wife, the other spouse. You will run into that sometimes where a husband and wife share an email address. It's a real bummer. One of them can get a free Gmail account is one thing that they can do, or unfortunately you'd have to bring it to them to to hand sign that. Okay, let me know if you have any questions on that. And let's go ahead and click add person on the bottom right here. Okay, again, the main three things we needed here is their name, email address, and their role. The role is very important for them to electronically sign. And then let's go ahead and click add person on the bottom right. All right, and I can see my client has been added in here. Okay, so if there were a spouse on this transaction, you would of course repeat that process. Just click add person on the top right again and add the spouse to the transaction. All right, last thing I want you to do in this people section, under your name. So you should see your name listed with you in parentheses. You should see your Dotloop email address. And let's change none there to listing agent. Okay, so let's assign yourself a role. These roles are super important to be able to electronically sign forms. Okay, you cannot electronically sign forms without a role being assigned. So it is really important. And just a heads up, you will always see the admin in your market center in this in your loop as well. Okay, they do compliance on your loop. It's good that they can see your loops. And let's scroll on down. All right, so now we're getting into the real meat of the information for this loop. So again, as I mentioned, if you enter any information in here, it will auto-populate all of this information onto any form that requires it that you bring into this loop. So a really big time saver. So just so you can see what it looks like when information auto-populates onto loops, let's go ahead and put in the property address here. Okay, so I'm going to put in the street number, street name. That is two different fields, by the way. Trips people up every time. I'm putting in the city, state, all right, whatever information you'd like to put in for this test loop here. All right, and once you finish putting in that property address, feel free to scroll down and see all the information that you have available to you to put in, okay? So all this financial information, contract dates, and so forth. If you are a new agent, these forms are pretty overwhelming. There's a lot of pages, a lot of verbiage. It's kind of hard to know where the information goes on the form, okay? Dotloop makes your life a lot easier because these fields straight up ask you for the required information, and Dotloop knows where on the form that information goes. Okay, so it saves you a lot of time out the gate, and as a new agent, it helps you find where to put things on the form. Kind of helps train you in that way. All right, so feel free to take a look around at all the different fields that you have available to you. And again, all of this will auto-populate. And let's scroll up to the very top of your screen and click Save on the top red toolbar. Okay, so I'm clicking Save on the top red toolbar here. Okay, one more time, just make sure you click Save on the top red toolbar, just to make sure all your work doesn't get erased. And then we'll simply click Back to Loop on the top left of your screen, okay, kind of on that white toolbar there. Let's click Back to Loop. And we are now ready to pull in a form into our loop to start preparing that. So in today's class, we're going to focus on this first blue box right here, okay, where it says templates. If you do not see this blue box, these blue boxes displaying, no worries, you would just click Add Document on the right side of any of the folder names to make these blue boxes display right away. So we're going to be working in this first blue box where it says templates. Okay, you should notice that this icon is the exact same as this icon on the top right black toolbar. Okay, the templates icon, just trying to draw this full circle for you guys. And it says add an interactive form by selecting one from templates. Okay, an interactive form means that you can just start typing on the form. So let's go ahead and click on the first blue box where it says templates. Okay, and it will pull up this pop-up box right here that says choose a document to add. Now this should look a little familiar to you as we started class in the document section. You'll notice this little gray scroll bar in the left side column, okay, that you can scroll through and look at all the red form sets on the left-hand side of this box. Okay, again, these are the form folders that all of your forms sit in. So let's go ahead and select any of the form folders that you would like. I'm going to work on a listing agreement in today's class if you would like to pull in a listing agreement as well to follow along. Okay, so I'm going to select the form folder on the left-hand side that I believe would have a listing agreement in it. And I'm going to use this search bar at the top of my screen to type in the word listing to try and pull that up here. All right, once I type in listing, it'll pull up all the forms that have the word listing in the form name. And I'm simply going to click the checkbox to the left of whichever forms I would like. Okay, I can select multiple forms at once or just one at a time. So go ahead and click the checkbox next to whichever form you would like to pull in. And just a heads up, I know a lot of forms or the form name is a little long here, so it cuts off. So it's hard to tell. If you just hover your mouse over the form name, it'll pop up a little speech bubble that tells you the full form name, so you know you're getting the correct one. And let's go ahead and click copy on the bottom right. Okay, once I click copy on the bottom right, it gives me this nice big green check mark letting me know it did import, and I can click OK. All right, and I now have that form added to my loop. All right, so to start preparing it, so now we need to go in and start preparing that form to share with our clients. All you need to do is simply click on that form name to pull that up in your Dotloop account. Okay, so I simply clicked on the form name to pull that up in my Dotloop account. And it pulls up this autofill box. Okay, this autofill box is your friend, to make sure to never ever X out of this. Okay, that's something to note as well. We do not X out of the autofill box, so your clients won't be able to electronically sign. Okay, I say that because in this top roles section here, right, Dotloop already knows that our client is seller 1 because we told Dotloop that that's their role. So you should already have your client labeled as seller 1 here, okay, if you're following along with me. If you don't, Okay, or if you realize now that there is a second spouse, or there's a spouse in the transaction, all right, we would want to click select person from that drop down, and you can always select your client from this drop down here or click add person to add that client in right away. All right, you would, if you're working on a listing agreement with me, you would want to make sure your name is displaying as a listing agent. All right, and as you scroll down, a lot of this information should already be auto-filled because we entered this into the View Details section of your loop. Property address, already done, already saving time. Okay, as I scroll down, you will see some extra information that you can enter in. Okay, again, this makes your life easier so you don't have to go on a treasure hunt to find where this information goes, for example. So typically you'll want to enter in as much information here as you can. All right, listing agent 1, that should have all of your contact information in it already because that's what we did in the My Account section at the beginning of class. Again, saving you some time already, hopefully. And we're scrolling through, and let's go ahead and click autofill. That big red button on the bottom right of this pop-up box, let's click autofill to push that information onto your form. All right, and now it tells me that 2 roles have been assigned and 13 fields have been autofilled. So you'll notice that some of my fields are yellow popping up right now. Okay, the yellow fields indicate to me that those fields have been autofilled. Okay, so that's great. So one less field to type in. But actually preparing their form is very intuitive and very easy to use. Okay, if you see any text boxes, and just a heads up, I know your form most likely looks different than mine. I'm working on North Carolina forms, okay? But it'll be the same concept across the board. It would be super nice if all forms look the same, make everyone's life easier. But with that being said, if you go ahead and find a text box on your form, okay, you'll notice it's as easy as clicking and typing, okay, to fill in that text box. Okay, so text boxes, simple as clicking to start typing. Okay, if you see any check boxes on your form, it's as simple as clicking to check those check boxes. And you might even notice some date fields. Okay, I know this is a date field because it gives me a calendar option. So if I click on this text box, it pops up an actual calendar. So I can scroll over and let's say select the expiration date from here. Okay, so filling out the form is pretty easy to do. Okay, you'll want to go through the entire form. You'll want to prepare the entire form, of course, first before sharing it to your clients to sign. Okay, so on the bottom, if you would go ahead and scroll down to maybe a field that has an initial box to it, so you can take a look at what that looks like. Okay, so on these initial fields here, if you did it correctly, you should see your seller's initials in that box, okay, in print. Now, if I were to print out this form, this field right here would be blank, okay? Once they actually go to electronically sign it, it will be in cursive with a time and date stamp, okay? So their initials, your client's initials listed there in print is indicating to you that you set it up correctly, that they will be able to electronically sign. Okay, just a heads up, if it says seller in both boxes, they will not be able to electronically sign. So let's talk about what you would do if you accidentally do that. All right, if you don't see your client's initials right here, no worries. You can come up to this black toolbar, click autofill right from that black toolbar. Okay, it's asking if I want to save it, so I'll go ahead and click yes. All right, and this is where it comes into play again. You need your client to be listed as seller 1 here, or they will not be able to electronically sign. Okay, so if that were to happen again, you just pull this back up, assign your client as seller 1, and scroll to the bottom of this box to click autofill. Okay, so that's just what you would do if you don't see your client's initials on the bottom here. All right, so what I would do now, all right, so let's take a look at how you would go through signing it. All right, when you sign it, it looks the same as if your clients are signing it, so this is what it looks like to your client as well. So if you're working on a listing agreement, the listing agent typically has to sign that, depending on your form. So I'm going to go ahead and click where it says listing agent initials. All right, I can see who it can be signed by. Okay, it should say my name. And I can click sign now, that drop down here. All right, the first time that you or your client goes to electronically sign a field, and the first time only, it will pop up this box right here that will confirm your name and your initials. So if you want to sign with your middle name, or if your client's doing this and you misspelled their name, they do have the opportunity to update that here. Okay, so this is editing how you're signing that form. Just a heads up, you can draw your signature as well. I don't particularly suggest that unless you're on a tablet. Okay, if you're on an iPad or an Android tablet. Okay, if you try and draw your signature on a computer, it kind of looks like a 5-year-old did it. It's very hard. So I would just leave it with these right here and click adopt and sign. All right, so you can now see the difference of when something is electronically signed. Okay, this field is electronically signed versus when it's just showing you it is set up correctly. Okay, so it's in cursive with a time and date stamp. So now, just so you guys can see what it looks like, if you scroll down to the next field, I go to click to sign it, it'll just pop my signature right in, okay, without requesting me to do anything further. All right, and signature fields are the exact same, and feel free to just watch on my screen if you'd like. I'm going to scroll down to a signature field. It is the exact same as an initial field. I just want to show you the difference. All right, you'll notice it has my client sign here. So we don't want to say seller sign here. We want to say your client's name, sign here. And when you go to the listing agent to sign here, once you click sign now, it'll again just pop your signature right in with a time and date stamp. It's that easy. Okay, so use your imagination, and let's say, actually before we go into that, so you might run into clients who do not like electronic signatures. Okay, there are clients that don't trust it, and that's fine, but let's say you want to go through and type up the entire form first, and then, because it looks more professional, and then print the form out and bring it onto your appointment. So you can explain it in front of the client and get them to hand sign the form. Okay, so use your imagination that we went through and we typed up the entire form, all the information it needs. All right, if you just wanted to print out this typed up form, you would simply come up to File on the top black toolbar and Print. Okay, and that'll print out the typed up form so you can bring it on your appointment with you. You do have the option to download it, and that will save it to your computer as well. I always recommend downloading fully signed documents so you have a copy of that on your computer. Okay, but again, the main point of Dotloop is so you can type up your form and send that to your client via email so they can electronically sign that. So what you would do at this point is click Save and Share. Okay, that big red button on the top right of your screen. One more time, just to reiterate, you would do this once you've typed up the entire form first. And then you could click Save and Share to send that to your client via email so they can electronically sign what you've typed up. All right, once I click that big red button on the top right of my screen that says Save and Share, the share screen will come up. Okay, it's showing you're sharing a document. It'll show you which document you're sharing, so you know exactly which document you're sharing. It shows you who has access to this form currently. Okay, so if you can't remember if you've already shared this to your client or not, it would show you right here. Okay, it will always have your name and your admin's name. All right, in this next section, it shows you who you're adding. So I have my client's name here. I can see my client is labeled as seller, and my client has 11 fields assigned to them. All right, and let's go to this far right here where it says can sign. Okay, so that drop down that says can sign. Okay, it gives you different ways that you can share the form. Okay, and this is important to note. All right, 9 times out of 10, you'll leave it on the can sign option. Okay, that gives your clients to simply open up the form and sign what you have written in. Okay, because typically we don't want our clients to be typing in the form. We don't want them doing things like, changing your commission rate. All right, so typically we only want to give them the ability to sign the form. Okay, so 9 times out of 10, we'll choose can sign. All right, but let's talk about the other options that you have available here. So view only. And just a note, you can see as you hover your mouse over each one of these options, it does pop up that little speech bubble telling you basically what I'm about to say. So if you can't remember what I said, it does remind you there. So view only here. So if you were sharing, let's say, a fully executed document to your mortgage provider, so if you need to share the fully executed offer to your mortgage provider, you could add in your mortgage provider's name, email address, and give them view only privileges. Okay, all they need to do is view that form. Another time to use that, if you have a young couple that you're representing and they want their mom or dad to view the forms that they're signing, okay, you can share it to Mom Weasley here with their email address and view only. Just some ideas. All right, can fill and sign. All right, this is a very useful one. Typically, you'll only want to share it as can fill and sign if you're sharing like a property disclosure. So if you're sharing a property disclosure, your client needs to fill in things that they know about the property, such as the age of the roof or the age of the HVAC. Okay, so giving them can fill and sign, typically that is only for property disclosures. Can edit in private. Okay, this is for sharing it to the agent on the other side. So if you were to share, let's say, an offer to purchase signed by your clients to the agent on the other side, can edit in private will give that agent privileges to counter offer in Dotloop. Okay, so it will allow that agent to to change any information that you've put in the offer so that they can counter. Now, just a heads up, of course, when that agent changes any information on the offer, it would erase your client's signatures because Dotloop knows your clients did not sign for that. Okay, but it does give that agent on the other side all the same privileges you have. All right, so those are the 4 different ways that you can share forms right here. But again, can sign is the most popular. I know that was a whole lot of information all at once, guys. But again, if you just hover your mouse there, it'll tell you what I said. All right, you can also enter in a custom message to your client if you need to give them any additional information. Okay, there's a default message that says something like, click the link below to view and sign the documents. And let's go ahead and click share. You don't have to right now, but that's what you would do in this case. If you did put in your personal email address, feel free to go ahead and click share on the bottom right so you can see what it looks like when your client receives the form. Okay, and it'll show you this document has been shared, waiting on others. All right, and a fun thing I like to do is let's go ahead and take a look at, so I have that email inbox open from my client. Okay, so let's say this is my client's email. All right, let me show you what it looks like when your client does receive a form to sign. Okay, it's always really helpful to know what your client's looking at so you can help them if need be. All right, so this is from a client's view. All we just did is what you would do typically, and now let's take a look at what your client would see. So they received this email that says, please review the form name. Okay, so it shows me now that the agent has shared a document for this loop, and to click to view the document. Okay, let's take a look at how easy it is for your clients to actually sign these loops. Okay, so they have the form here. They would click this big blinking button here that says start signing. It takes them down to the first field. It tells them to sign. Click here. They click, and again, the first time and the first time only, it gives them the option to edit their name. So if you misspelled their name or they want to sign with a middle initial, okay, it gives them that option here. And they can click adopt and sign. So from there, it's as simple as it takes them down. They click to sign, and it keeps moving them down. Now, of course, they can scroll up and actually read what they're signing, okay, but Dotloop does walk them through where to sign on each field. Okay, so let's go through this so you can see what it looks like at the end. All right, so once they're done signing, okay, it says you're almost done. Click finish to send the completed document back to the sender. So once they click finish signing here, it will send you an email notification as the agent letting you know your client has finished signing the form. Okay. Your client then has the opportunity to create a free Dotloop account so that they can see all the forms that they've ever signed right from their Dotloop account. Okay, so that will be the client view of Dotloop. As you can see, it's super easy for your clients to electronically sign. Okay, Dotloop makes it really simple for them. All right, and before I wrap up class here, the last thing that I'm going to show you is how to submit your loop for review. Okay, and then we'll be done with class. So submitting your loop for review is something that you need to do for compliance. So if you're still, here, let me go into the form. You're still probably looking at your form right now. Okay. And so to get back to your loop from your form, just so we're all on the same page, you can simply click on this red back button on the top left here to take you back to your main loop. Okay, that should take you back to your loop here. Now, so when you are done with your loop, or when you are done with your, when you are done putting your listing live on the MLS, all right, your office typically has a policy on how often they want you to submit for review. Okay, so your admins don't typically look at your loop to compliance check it until you come up here and click submit for review. So touch base with your office staff to see when they want you to submit that loop for review, okay, how often. But to have them do compliance checking on your loop, you'll click submit for review on the very top right of your loop here. All right, it will pop up asking you which folder you would like to submit for review. Okay, so if you have multiple folders, you can pick which one you would like to submit to your admin. And where it says select type here, you can select that this is a listing. Okay, and don't do this right now, but what you would do is click submit. Okay, your admin won't like me very much if you submit all these random loops to them. Okay, so don't click submit right now, but that's all you would need to do to submit your loop to your staff so that they could compliance check it for you. All right, so again, we did all of that in the submit for review. Okay, if you guys have heard, sorry about that. If you guys have heard the term green sheet before, okay, typically a green sheet is something that you'll fill out right when your property goes under contract. Okay, a green sheet indicates to your office how you're getting paid on this property. Okay, if you're giving out a referral or splitting the commission with another agent in your office and so forth. So how you would do a green sheet from your Dotloop account is by simply clicking on view details on the top of your loop name here. Okay, and this is where we were at the beginning of class, so hopefully we're getting comfortable. So let's go ahead and click View Details on the top of your loop, right under the property address. And I just want to show you that you can come in here and click Submit to Green Sheet in order to pull up the green sheets to fill that out right away. All right, again, that is something that you'll want to do when the home goes under contract. All right, again, check in with your office, though, of course, to ask them when they want you to submit a green sheet or submit for review. Okay, those policies are a little different for each office, so check in with your office staff on that. All right, but that was the Dotloop 101 class, so all the Dotloop basics. Dotloop 201 can be viewed on slmtraining.com. Okay, that'll be a little faster pace, advanced tips, tricks, and time savers. Okay, take it to the next level. If you have any questions at all, of course, feel free to email us at support@scottleroymarketing.com, and we're happy to help out with that. I hope this was helpful. I hope you guys have a happy Friday Eve and happy looping.